Welcome back to the battlefield. Today we follow the adventures of... why do I always have such a weird intro, man? One day I'll figure it out. Anyway, today we are taking a look at the continuation of our Scotland campaign. Now, we have just defeated the Irish after betraying them. We're not particularly good diplomatically. We've dropped to an untrustworthy standing, but that is alright. What is more important is that we unify the homeland. And now that we have achieved unity, we have just a little bit more remnants of Irish forces in the area, but not enough to pose a serious threat, and now we can focus all of our efforts on conquest and expansion into the European mainland. So before we get too much further into that, I had better spend some money rebuilding and repairing the city of Tempera, and I believe that's just about all we have to do this turn. Let's go ahead and give our agent some skills. The campaign map movement range is always excellent. Alrighty. And I believe that should be all for this turn. Let's check out what our spies are up to. Still just keeping an eye on the borders, patrolling back and forth to make sure that our neighbors aren't making a move on our currently mostly undefended territory. We do still have this army down here, the Will of Andraste, ready in the south. And we will soon prepare them to move further south and start taking territory. I haven't really decided which faction I want to go after first, but we can worry about that in just a moment. Let's go ahead and check out our internal politics and see what's going on. Alright, so everyone who is of age has gotten married. That's the primary thing I look for. The secondary thing I look for is loyalty. The Vakamagi chieftains are still proving that they are not particularly loyal, so we'll have to keep an eye on them. But for now, let's just go ahead and send Belisama out on a diplomatic mission. Where should we send her? Nobody likes us very much, which isn't too much of a surprise. Let's go ahead and send her to the east. We will try and maintain some relations with the factions out here, even though they are at war with each other. We'll try and maintain some relations so that we can keep our trade agreement and we don't have to send armies that direction. But let's end the turn and go to the next one. Just kidding. Alrighty, we can issue an edict, so let's go ahead and just issue the edict where it will have the greatest financial benefit, which is in the province of Gallia at the moment. I guess while I'm at it, I should also take a quick look and make sure there's no other construction we ought to get up to, and as it turns out, there is other construction we should take care of. Right off the bat, public order isn't a desperate need in Germania Minor, so we'll go to Caledonia instead and upgrade the Traders Field to the followers of Belenus. This will help out further with public order and also increase our sanitation. Alright, now let's go to the next turn. Hey, that is perfect. The reformation of the army has begun. We've united the Isles and can now marshal the resources of all her tribes. Change is coming. So perhaps not this turn or the next, but in the very near future we'll be able to reform our units. And we also have the political intrigue where our horsemen, our cavalry recruits, will be better trained, not better retrained. That is perfect timing for us to go ahead and recruit some cavalry here in the Will of Andraste. But instead of doing that with all of our money, I will actually first focus on improving the settlement of Tempera. We can spend the money on cavalry recruits in any time in the next 4 turns, and we'll still get the bonus. If we take a quick look at it, it just means our cavalry will be recruited at rank 3, which is pretty good, but we still have a couple of turns before we need to make that recruitment happen. The other thing I could do instead is wait around a little bit and wait for the reforms to take place, and before we go to war we might start reforming the armies. Other than that, the only thing that happened over the intern is the Irish decided to recruit several mercenaries in the area, so it would be wise for me to keep at least one of these armies back here while the garrison builds up. But once the garrison has recovered, we can go ahead and leave the area. So for now, this fleet is quite weak, and they don't have any ships that can ram, so I'm reasonably confident that we can send the Hordes of Camulos back out to sea and get them heading towards the mainland Europe again. Alright, welcome back to the top of the turn. We have completed some more research, so let's go ahead and just take a look at that first. Alright, so what do we have available and what do we need? We don't necessarily need anything else in the Druidic Council at the moment, so let's go ahead and leave that for the time being. It would probably be good to start working towards increasing the size of our cities, so this large defenses would be an excellent research to do next. But what I usually prefer to do first is get level 4 farms. No, usually I'll get level 4 farms before I work towards level 4 settlement main chains. So let's hold off on that for now. We might just go with the level 3 settlement main chains, or main buildings. I don't really care for shipbuilding at the moment. The extra replenishment would be nice, but let's go for large defenses instead. Alright, the Germans have reached a new military reform, but that's not quite the British or the Britannic tribes that we want. And I have decided that instead of sending the Hordes of Camulos straight back to mainland Europe, I'm actually going to move them throughout our territory here in the British Isles, so that we can start to use some population from the local area when we hit our reforms. I want to recruit a bunch of new units, and this army will either A, need some reforms within the individual units, or B, we might have to swap out some of them, particularly the slingers. I would like to get some better missile units. Right, the Irish have sent their army forward, and they are now within range, so in the interest of dealing with them quickly, instead of having to wait around forever, let's charge out and meet them. I would expect them to run away, but they do not have anywhere to run. They've trapped themselves on an island. I've got plenty of time to replenish, so I don't feel any need to fight this manually. Plenty of time and plenty of population, so let's just auto-resolve it real quick. We will go ahead and ransom the captives. We don't want to destroy the people, we just want to give them new leadership. So ransoming the captives would be better than executing them. Particularly after our horrible betrayal of their people. It would be good for us to treat them a bit more lightly. Alright, as far as military movement, that's about all we can do. We will go ahead and patrol. Our income is great, so we don't need to patrol, but I figure I may as well boost it up just a little bit. Back here in the Will of Andraste, I could recruit some more cavalry, but now I'm kind of waiting for our reform system to kick in. I would rather pick up the Late Britannic Heavy Cav. So let's hold off for that. On that for now, rather. I also might get rid of the Gallic warriors, but we will see. Alright, our spy, let's make her a more efficient assassin. I don't plan on carrying out any assassinations on her. Make her more efficient, it's a dude. I don't plan on carrying out any assassinations for a couple of turns, but let's at least have the skills ready for it. And other than that, our armies are all in position. Let's go ahead and take care of just a little bit more construction before we go on to the next turn. So again, public order is not a pressing need here, but we may as well keep improving it while we have the funds available. Loyalty has actually decreased, which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. What we can do is secure a promotion for the Vakomagi chief, and that will hopefully help boost his loyalty just a little bit. Oh, and we also need to recruit another governor. So let's see which province needs a governor. Looks like Aquitania could use it. I like to put my governors in the provinces that make the most money because that's where their percentage boosts will have the greatest effect. Let's go ahead and hire this agent. Their individual unique skills were all fairly similar, so that isn't too much of a selling point for me. And now let's go to the next turn. The top of another turn has arrived, and I may just fast forward until the reforms happen or until we get to a more interesting event in the near future. But for now, we're just reorganizing the armies and getting them back into the European mainland, preparing for an assault, probably to our south-southwest. The army reforms will be completed in 1 year, so that is still actually a pretty long time. But at least now we have a time frame for when the reforms will be completed. So in preparation for that, what I want to do is start saving up a bunch of money, and that way we can upgrade whatever units need upgrades, and we can also recruit a whole new army, because we have more than enough income to recruit an entire new army once those reforms happen. So for now, I will go ahead and keep moving my armies around, getting them ready for the eventual reforms. Welcome back to the top of the turn, and this is several turns forward in the future. We have completed the large defenses research, and most importantly, the United British Isles have been... we have united the British Isles, and so the people under one rule have come together to contribute to a burgeoning nation, which really just means our reforms should be finished. So let's take a look at what we can recruit now. Right off the bat, we can get late Britannic heavy swordsmen. We also now have access to late Britannic heavy spearmen, which are a very, very strong spear unit, and then the late Britannic slinger spearmen and late Britannic Highland archers. So we now have access to lots and lots of good units. An excellent heavy sword unit, heavy spears, and more. Now let's look around and see what units can be upgraded. Unfortunately, it looks like none of our units can be upgraded. So we will go ahead and disband a couple of different units and get ready to start recruiting their replacements. Now I have started to recruit another army here. I will have a siege army here, and another siege army here, and then my 2 field armies. That's kind of the game plan I have going into this. So, right off the bat, let's go ahead and get rid of these crummy spearmen. Or slingers, not spearmen, excuse me. And then we will replace them with substantially better ones. First, let's go ahead and work a little bit more on some siege abilities with this army. Even though they won't be doing much sieging, it is nice to have those skills. And then, you know what, out of curiosity... Okay, so the late Britannic heavy swords are better than the noble swordsmen, and they come from the 2nd class instead of the first class of our population, which makes them way easier to recruit and maintain. Their skills are basically the exact same otherwise. So we won't bother replacing the noble swordsmen here, we'll just go ahead and keep them in the army, but we will pick up 4 units of slinger spearmen to complete the Horns of Camulos. But you know what, let's recruit them from the city of Iska. I did not mean to go into the port, because you can't recruit from the port. Alright, so let's recruit from the city of Iska, bring their population to the front. We will also recruit some from the city of Iborikon. We have quite a few Botha here, but not as many as our capital, Din Aden, where we have nearly 30,000. But anyway, let's not worry too much about that. Let's just bring the armies forward and get them recruiting so we can control the front line. I do want to replace these medium spearmen with heavy spearmen, and these medium cavalry with heavy cavalry. We will keep the mercenary lancers, though. Let's see, 6-man front line. Now we'll do an 8-man front line with 2 units of heavy cavalry and then 2 units of heavy spearmen. And that will round off the Woad Warriors. It'll take some time to recruit, but that's alright. We have time right now. And then up here, since it will be a siege army, we want a lot of heavy swordsmen and some archers, but we can't recruit any of them from this province, so I'll just keep this army back for the time being so that they can not use all of the supplies from this area. Alrighty, in the south, we have another army that needs men, and this army will start off with recruiting several ballista, and then 2 archers, and the rest will be swordsmen, and, well, we'll get 1 heavy cavalry as well, and then the rest will be heavy swordsmen. Since we have the money, I'll go ahead and just spend it all right now. Actually, you know what? No, I won't. Because we have also just completed research that will allow us to begin construction on improved town centers. So let's make that a priority and keep the economy going strong before we worry too much about the future of the military. For these external couple of provinces, I'm going to focus more on garrison and banditry reductions. And then, you know what, let's actually upgrade Visantio next turn. We can upgrade Bibracte now. What's the difference between these two? Greater public order penalty versus also having substantially greater income. Let's worry about not hurting the public order too bad, so we will go with the one that is -6 food instead of -8. For research, what should we pursue next? It might be good to start researching some in the warrior code so that our men will fight more confidently, especially because a pretty major development has occurred in our south. One, the Aravaci are moving north, which means if we don't move quickly, they will take the city of Bertigala first, and if we have to take it from the Aravaci, that will mean war in Iberia for sure. And 2, we have encountered the nation of Rome. Now, no diplomacy has been initiated so far, but as they are friendly with the Massalians, that means war with Massalia will lead to war with Rome. So we definitely want our armies to be strong by the time we get down to the south. Alright, so I think that's about all we need to do this turn. We still have a couple of people who have leveled up. We'll go ahead and get them moving down towards the skills we want. And you know what? Can we recruit the archers? We cannot recruit archers from here, so we'll leave it as it is, and then we'll go to the next turn. And you know what? We won't just go to the next turn. I'll probably go ahead and skip to the next major event once we've got our armies recruited and things moving along.
Pray to your gods of the dead. Your foolishness has awoken the might and anger of Rome.
Well, so we have it. The Romans gave us 2 turns, and then after the end of the second turn they declared war. So war it is with Rome. Fortunately, we have several barbarian tribes between us, and Rome is not at war with any of them. So I'm hoping that this barrier will still mean that the Romans don't attack into southern France anytime soon. Alrighty, welcome back to yet another turn. So we are, I think, just about a whole year in the future. And we're at war with Rome. The Rutini to our south have unified the province of Narbonensis, and they are at war with Bertigala, the Vivisci tribe. So what we're going to try to do here is sneak in and steal the city of Bertigala before anyone else can get to it. Unfortunately, we just barely don't have the movement range to make it there. So what I'm really hoping is going to happen is that the AI just kind of leaves this city alone. I don't think the Rutini have any armies close enough to attack the city, and the Aravaci keep laying siege and then not actually attacking because they don't have the strength to launch the attack. So what we are going to do is get in here and prepare to grab the city. Hopefully there are no armies from the Aravaci, and hopefully this fleet doesn't give them enough strength to take the city, because if it does, then war with the Aravaci is the only way to capture the settlement. And war with them means war with all of Iberia at this point. So I really don't want to be fighting the Iberians and the Romans at the same time, but I do want to unify the province of Aquitania, so hopefully we can make this happen. No. The Ruteni had an army that I couldn't see somewhere here in the south, and they have launched a siege of Bertigala. Their army is both strong and healthy, and so I have no doubt that they will be able to take the city. The unfortunate thing is that I just gained a trade agreement with them in the hopes that it could secure my southern border. So that I wouldn't have to defend these ports and still attack the Romans. Unfortunately, we have lost out on the opportunity to capture the settlement of Bertigala. I believe the Aravaci may have actually launched an attack. No, they did not. Just this fleet moved around a little bit, and I thought maybe they launched an attack, but they did not launch the attack. Well, since that is the case, we will go ahead and pull the siege army back a little bit, and then start rotating the main forces over towards the Italian front. Alright, well, we're back at the top of the next turn, and we have an interesting development. The Aravaci have joined the war against the Romans. Another thing that happened during the end turn is the Romans sent a couple of forces towards this coast. So, it is possible that the Romans will declare war on the Rutini, and we will have our first fight against the Romans in southern France instead of in northern Italy. This final siege army may as well move forward at the same time. There's no sense keeping them over here at the moment. So let's just go ahead and start sending all of our forces towards northern Italy. Alright, infuriatingly, for whatever reason, nobody has captured the city of Bertigala yet. Or you know what? Did they subjugate them? No, they're all still at war, so what happened? Unfortunately, the settlement got sacked. So right now we could have swept in and stolen the city out from underneath these barbarians, but since we just barely decided to move our army away, and there's no chance we have the movement to get back over there, unfortunately we lose out on the opportunity to capture that settlement. In any case, we will continue moving forward with the remainder of our forces as we march on the city of Genua. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Things have been going on for quite a while. I've been recording for quite a while. I don't know exactly how much footage I'll be getting, but I will try and edit this one down so it's nice and short so that we can get into the war with Rome sooner rather than later. Anyway, as always, I hope you guys enjoy. Let me go ahead and pick up this last ballista before I forget. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.